Hello students, nice to meet you all. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to know about one of the famous playwright and a household name where we are very much familiar with is William Shakespeare. Now we are going to discuss William Shakespeare's As You Like It. As You Like It is a very popular, well-known and an interesting play. The quote is very popular and it is known to all the words are stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances and no man in his time plays many parts, his act being 7 ages. So this quote sums up what the life is. And by going through this play, we also come to know as well as to understand what is life and love. As I told you, this play is going to be very interesting because the whole play is nothing but love, love, and love. There are too many loves here, and as a whole, there are 4 different types of loves Shakespeare deals with, which are very practical and also which is very much related to the present day life. Good. Now, let me give a short note and a brief biographical detail of Shakespeare. As I told you, Shakespeare is one of the greatest dramatists of the world and he is known to everyone. Even a common man knows, say, William Shakespeare. They may not be knowing a popular cricketer or a popular cine artist, but everyone knows William Shakespeare. Shakespeare is really a literary genius and he has written 154 sonnets and 37 plays, and that too, the plays include tragedies, comedies, and tragicomedies. Let me give an introduction to the play itself, As You Like It. So, As You Like It is a romantic comedy. Written in probably in the late 1599 or the early 1600. So, the exact date is not sure. So, between these months, probably in the last months of 1599 or in the early 1600, it was written. And also immediately it was staged to the public. So, this has become very popular and on later days, this has been adapted to radio, plays, films and also in Broadway musical theaters. And critics always says that this is one of the Shakespeare's greatest comedies. So this is, as I told you, this is a romantic comedy. This is not just a romantic comedy. It is also called a pastoral romantic comedy. One of the characters in this play, the leading character, the female character, Rosalind, is considered as the most inspiring characters created by Shakespeare, and also this one female character which had more space and more lines than any of the Shakespearean plays. So this is one thing important, and let's see what the pastoral romantic comedy is. To define exactly, pastoral romantic comedy is a literary work. It may be a poem or a play dealing with the shepherds or the rural life in a usually artificial manner and typically drawing a contrast between the innocence and the serenity of the simple life and the misery and corruption of city and especially the court life. So what you see here is a contrast between city and the country, the urban and the rural setting. So this you can see in this pastoral romantic comedy. To be precise, the pastoral romantic comedy which will have a rustic or a village or a rural setting, and it also contrasts the city and the country life, the urban and the rural life. That is what the pastoral romantic comedy is. Now, let's see the characteristics of pastoral romantic comedy. As I told you, the pastoral romantic comedy will have a rustic, village, rural setting. It deals with the country or the rural life, which will have lot of adventures in it, even like climbing a tree, trekking the mountain. So all those things are part and parcel of it. It deals with the shepherd's life, and you can see a disguise from gender disguise from male to female, and the life is so simple, very simple. It will have love affairs, and it's full of nature. It's all lakes, mountains, and rivers, and the whole story will be light-hearted, and with a lot of jokes. These are the characteristics of a past romantic. Now, the characters. We are going to discuss only the major characters right now. Like the whole story revolves around two families. One is the family of the Duke, which has two brothers, the Duke Senior and Duke Frederick. Duke Senior is having a daughter by name Rosalind, and Duke Frederick's daughter's name is Celia, and both are very good friends, not only cousins, but they both are bosom friends. They love each other like anything. No other woman can love like this. That is what the play says. And the court has a jester. His name is Touchstone, and the court also has a wrestler by name Charles. Coming on to the other family, Sir Roland de Bois, who is owning an estate and recently has passed away, having three sons. The elder son is Oliver. The second son is Jack, and the youngest one is Orlando, who is the major character of this play. And the family has one old loyal servant by name Adam. So these are the major characters through which the entire play revolves around. Adam, the old loyal servant of their family. Now, let us discuss the major characters in detail. I would like to say a few words on Oliver, the elder son of Sir Roland de Bois. Oliver is a very rude fellow, and he has no respect for the other human beings. At one point, he says, "You are a dog," pointing against his old servant Adam. And he is not very courageous or a strong guy. He cannot even manage his own younger brother. And because of these qualities, he is not liked by the people. People are loved and very sympathetic towards his younger brother Orlando, whereas people have a kind of an hatredness towards Oliver. That is the reason why he develops a kind of a jealous over his own brother, and he is very deceitful and untrustworthy. He will go to any extent, even against his own kith and kin, in order to gain certain things. Moving on to the next major character, Orlando, his younger brother. To the contrary, he is physically strong, and even he is capable of manhandling his own elder brother. The problem with him is he's uneducated. Though he is uneducated, he is brilliant. He is very intelligent. The goodness about him is he is always loyal, and because of this, people love him a lot. And in turn, he also have people around him who are loyal to him. He is very courageous, and he will not hesitate to do things. He has the traits of his father, and who is known for his leadership. The next character is Rosalind. Bright, lively, pretty, and sympathetic, which is a rare blend, very rare to see. And Shakespeare is very brilliant in establishing this character. So, moreover, she is purely independent and very bold, and she will not hesitate to speak out what she feels as well as what she thinks. She is purely candid and outspoken person, witty and intelligent. Beauty and intelligence are a rare combination, and Rosalind is a very rare character who is very beautiful as well as she is very intelligent and a righteous person too. Righteous person. She knows what is right, what is wrong, and if something goes wrong, she has the courage to raise her voice against it. So, Also, she is very loyal to her father as well as his cousin and friend. The next character we are going to discuss is Duke Frederick. He is the brother of Senior Frederick, a selfish guy as well as very greedy, and because of that, he banishes his elder brother and takes the throne. Complete betrayal of trust. Nobody can trust him. At one point, he says Rosalind is the niece is like his own daughter, but the next moment she literally banishes him. Purely unsympathetic. The next character is Celia, daughter of Duke Frederick. Like Rosalind, witty and intelligent. Like Rosalind, loyal to her cousin. Right, Rosalind, righteousness. She too has the righteousness. With this introduction, I would like to go on to the opening scene of As You Like It, Act 1, Scene 1. The play opens with Orlando complaining about his brother Oliver, who is purposefully keeping him idle and poverty and not providing proper education to him in order to become gentle. So he complained this to his loyal family servant Adam. By the time Oliver steps in, see, Oliver is such a character who had inherited the entire wealth of his father, whereas he is somewhat sympathetic towards his second brother, and he educates him, and his name is Jack, and he is also doing well in his education. Whereas with respect to Orlando, he is showing no mercy at all, and he is putting him in a very miserable condition. So even Orlando goes to the extent of saying that he has been treated like animals. See, animal imagery is very common in Shakespearean plays. When Oliver was about to assault Orlando, Orlando grabs Oliver by his throat and demands either to help him become a gentleman or to give him his partly inheritance so that he can make his own life. Then Oliver will have a discussion with Charles. Charles is a wrestler of Duke's court. So Charles comes and meets Oliver, and they both will have a discussion, and Oliver will be asking Charles about what's happening in the court, and he says that the Duke Senior has been exiled, and he is in Forest of Arden, and also a good number of loyal followers. Lords, they have also given up their own properties, and they had followed the suit of Senior Duke, and he also says that Rosalind still stay back in the court and not going along with her father because Celia wants Rosalind to be with her, and Rosalind right now is with Celia in the Duke's court. And then Charles also conveys an important message to Oliver, saying that he got a rumor that his brother, younger brother, Orlando, is planning to compete with him in a wrestling match anonymously. The reason is nobles will never take part in any kind of wrestling matches or anything in public, because that will have a very bad impact or on their reputation, the family reputation. That's why they will not. So anonymously, Orlando is planning to challenge Charles in the wrestling match, and Charles is very particular, and he says Oliver that please advise your younger brother not to take part in the wrestling match, because it is something related to my reputation, and whoever comes and fights with me, they will end up in a very bad shape, and I don't want to hurt a noble man of your family. So that's why you please advise him not to take part in the wrestling match. Whereas Oliver, as we all know, is very cunning and very wicked. He takes this as an opportunity, and he asks Charles to do whatever that he wants to, because he says Orlando is such a bad person, and if he happens to lose, he will do anything to you. So you do the maximum damage. And then Charles says that let's see, he may not be in a position to move after the match, and he moves out. So in between, in the court, so the whole story will get revolved in three places. It will get started with the estate of Orlando and Oliver, and then it will slowly move on to the court of Duke, and then finally it lands in the Forest of Arden. So in between, what happens in the court is the Duke Senior has been banished by his own brother Duke Frederick, and he has moved out to Forest of Arden. And as I told you, Rosalind is with friend Celia in the court himself. So what we understand from the conversation between Charles and Oliver is there is no love or loyalty between the brothers, and the brother is going to the maximum extent of harming his own brother. So this is something wrong, which is anti-ideal to all the virtues. So, and it also shows that Oliver is so jealous of Orlando, because Orlando is gentle, though he is uneducated, and he is liked by all, whereas to the contrary, Orlando's popularity is not much among the people when compared to Orlando. Scene 2 starts with Rosalind, who is depressed because of the banishment of her father, Duke Senior. And Celia tries her level best to console her and convince her, but it was very difficult for Rosalind to adjust and accommodate the separation of her own father. Then Celia says that, don't worry, Rosalind, when after the death of my father, I will give back the throne to you, and let's not worry about it, and let's come back to the normal life. And to some extent, Rosalind gets convinced, and they will start discussing about fortune and nature, and they try to understand how each influences life. So fortune and nature, those are very abstract terms which one discusses the permanence, the other one discusses the temporal aspect. So the fortune is very temporal, and nature is something so good and it is permanent. And you also come to get introduced to the court's fool, clown, or a jester we call, and his name is Touchstone. He comes to ask Celia to meet her father, and he also comes out with a tale. We all always know that fools are very intelligent, and he comes out with a tale, an interesting tale of a dishonorable knight who nonetheless swears by his honor, non-existing honor. So this is an interesting story, and that also proves the intelligence of Touchstone. While Touchstone discussing with the two ladies, courtier Lebeau also steps in, and he comes with an information sharing that there is going to be a wrestling match which is going to take place shortly in the court of Duke Frederick. He also reveals that the court wrestler Charles is very powerful and very violent, and in the previous match he had defeated three brothers, and they had gone to the verge of death, and he had broken their ribs. So this is in an indirect message of Orlando's challenge against Charles in the wrestling match. Touchstone also remarks, how come this is going to be very interesting to the ladies, because this is too violent and ladies may not like it. But Rosalind and Celia stay in the court, and they would like to view the match. Meantime, Duke Frederick steps in, and he will be requesting the ladies to dissuade the young wrestler, because he is too young and it is very difficult for him to fight, and asks the ladies to dissuade Orlando not to fight with the court wrestler Charles. So considering this, Rosalind and Celia tries to persuade Orlando, but Orlando is very stubborn, and he says that even if the outcome is going to be fatal, I am least bothered because he is willing to die because he is not having any friends and no one is there to lament for him, and also there is no place in this world, and so he is very stubborn, and he gears himself to fight against Charles, and the fight begins, and to the surprise, Orlando defeats Charles immediately, quickly, and making Charles unconscious. And this was completely unexpected, and Duke Frederick was little bit astonished, but soon he was displeased to know that Orlando is the son of Sir Roland de Boys, who is his enemy. To the contrary, Sir Roland de Boys is a very good friend of his brother, Senior Duke. And this is very much known to Rosalind. Celia now understands her father's intentions, and she thinks that for the first time she thinks that this is not the right way to treat Orlando, and she's confused why her father is snubbing Orlando, which is completely unfair. Then Rosalind moves further and she presents her own chain as a prize of winning the match, and Orlando is completely speechless. His tongues have been tied and he was not able to express himself, and she also feels the same. But what happens here is the love blossoms at the very first sight, and they both fall in love with each other, but they will not express it openly. So both of them, they are tongue tied and they are not in a position to say anything, and they part. Then Lebo reveals that Duke Frederick is irritated, is unhappy, and he asks Orlando to leave the place immediately. Orlando also understands this, and without saying a word, he moves, and in fact, Duke Frederick again steps in, and she warns Rosalind to move out of the court, and if she's going to stay back in the court, she will end up with the death penalty, and asks Rosalind to immediately move out of the court. This was very much predicted by Lebo before itself. Rosalind was totally confused, and immediately she will be questioning Duke Ferdinand, asking him the reason. And she says that I haven't done anything wrong and I haven't done anything against you, and why you want to banish me? Frederick says that, no, your presence makes people to be more sympathetic towards you, and it is also in a way indirectly affecting my daughter's pride. So what I want is you have to leave immediately. The reason that you ask for the banishment is just because of your father. You have to leave. You are his daughter, and I don't want to be here. You leave the court. And Duke Frederick was very stubborn, and he insists her to move out of the court. The third scene begins with a discussion between the friends, Rosalind and Celia. Celia says that she is in love with Orlando, and Celia was so surprised and stunned to hear how come this is possible, and how can you love instantly? And this was a big question to her. And finally, they were also a little bit upset by the move of Frederick asking her to move out of the court. So they both were very upset, and Celia tries her level best to convince her father and defends her own friend in order to stay back in the court. But Frederick was very adamant, and he says he's a daughter as a fool because she doesn't know what kind of a negative impact it shadows upon her because of the presence of Duke Senior's daughter Rosalind. And he says no way he can stay here, and she has to move out. When Duke Frederick was so stubborn, then Celia also makes a decision saying that if Rosalind is going to move out of the court, I will also banish myself, and I will also follow her. Then Duke Frederick leaves the scene and they both sit together and they will have a plan. They decide to go to the forest of Ardeen, where Rosalind's father is there, the Duke Senior is there. So they are planning. And when they want to move out, they know that it is very dangerous, adventurous and dangerous for them. Being young, it is very difficult. So they decide to disguise themselves. And Rosalind, being very tall, and she decides to to go for a disguise as a man. And Celia decides to get disguised as his sister, and they both disguise themselves as a very ordinary people and sneaks out of the court. So what we understand from the entire characters from the court, they are moving towards the Garden of Ardeen. To be more specific, all the good characters are moving from the country, from the court to the country. The country is nothing but the forest of Ardeen. Rosalind and Celia decides to leave the court and they start planning to proceed further to meet Rosalind's father, Duke Senior, in the forest of Ardeen. Knowing that the journey would be dangerous for two wealthy, young, attractive women, they decide to travel in disguise. Celia, as a common shepherdess, and Rosalind, as a young man, they decide to disguise themselves and proceed further. They would also like to take Touchstone along with them for the better accompaniment. Celia pulls Rosalind out of her stunned state and into action. And what Celia encourages Rosalind is, this is not a punishment. We are going, and it is going to be a good life that we are going to start. And there ends scene 3. So, how the play proceeds further. So, all these good characters, they start moving from the court to the country, the forest of Ardeen, where they all meet. And as usual, as all the romantic comedies, all that ends well the same way here. All these people, they come to know each other, and toward the end, they all get married. And Duke Frederick, as well as Oliver, the brother of Orlando, will also change their heart and mind. And Duke Senior goes back to the court and get back his throne. And there ends the story. Thank you.